The Great Hall of the Orion Council was silent. It was larger than any human city stadium. The roof stretched so high that clouds formed under the glowing lights. The air shimmered with the presence of dozens of alien species. Some were scaled and spined, others made of shifting light, some floating on tendrils of gas. And at the very center, on a raised platform, stood the council chair. Today's trial was about a single species, humans. A hologram of Earth rotated slowly in the middle of the chamber. Below it stood the human ambassador, a small figure dressed in black, looking like a shadow among the bright colors of the alien delegates. The ambassador's face was calm, but everyone could see the tension in their stance. The council chair's voice filled the hall. It was deep, metallic, and final. Let the session begin. We are gathered to decide whether the species known as humanity may remain within the protection of the Orion Accords or whether they are to be declared a threat to galactic peace. A wave of murmurs ran through the crowd. This was no small decision. One by one, the alien representatives began to speak. Each was given a turn to present their evidence against humanity. The representative of the Orake, a massive creature with armor-like skin, spoke first. Humans are violent. They fight their own kind more than any other species we have observed. In less than 3,000 of their years, they have fought 2 global wars. Their weapons are capable of destroying entire cities. The hologram changed. It showed images of mushroom clouds, war machines, soldiers marching across ruined lands. The human ambassador did not look away. Next came the Silooth, a species that looked like tall silver birds. Humans poison their own world. They burn their forests, poison their oceans, and fill their skies with smoke. A species that cannot care for its own planet cannot be trusted with the stars. The hologram showed polluted rivers, burning rainforests, cities choking under smog. A ripple of agreement passed through the chamber. The accusations continued. The Valkyrie, the Kreen, the Talas all spoke of human aggression, of battles fought even after first contact, of colonies that bristled with weapons instead of peace banners. Finally, when all had spoken, the council chair raised a clawed hand. The evidence is clear. Humanity is a danger. The vote will now be taken. A hush fell over the chamber. The human ambassador's hands tightened into fists. They had known this might happen. The council had warned Earth many times. Now the galaxy was about to turn its back on them. One by one, the votes were cast. Each representative raised their sigil in the air, glowing with the symbol for yes or no. Yes meant exile. Yes meant cutting Earth off from trade routes, from galactic technology, from the protection of the Accords. Yes meant leaving humanity to fend for itself in a galaxy full of predators. One after another, the sigils glowed yes. The ambassador's chest felt tight. They had hoped at least a few species would stand with Earth, but the vote was clear. Then, just as the last delegate was about to cast their vote, a new voice rose from the back of the chamber. I will speak for them. The sound was deep and commanding. Every head turned. It was Elder Sarek of the Violari, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. The Violari rarely spoke during trials, and when they did, their words carried weight. Sarek stepped forward, his tall, elegant form moving with slow grace. His eyes, glowing faintly gold, swept across the room. You are ready to condemn humanity because of their wars, because of their mistakes, Sarek said. But I have seen something in them that you have not. The council chair's eyes narrowed. This is a formal vote, Elder. Do you wish to contest the verdict? Yes, Sarek said simply. I will offer testimony. Let the council hear me before they pass judgment. The hall buzzed with sudden energy. A contest was rare, but not forbidden. The chair nodded slowly. Very well. Speak, Elder Sarek. But know that the evidence is overwhelming. You must give this council a reason to reverse its decision. Sarek's gaze turned to the human ambassador, then back to the council. I will, he said. But you must see humanity not only for what they have done, but for what they are capable of. And with those words, the fate of Earth shifted. The vote was paused. The hologram faded. Every species leaned forward as Elder Sarek prepared to speak. The human ambassador, for the first time all day, allowed themselves a small breath of hope. The council chamber fell into a heavy, expectant silence. Elder Sarek stood tall, his robes flowing like liquid metal under the lights. His golden eyes glowed faintly as he stepped toward the center platform. The hologram of Earth returned, spinning slowly above the floor, as though waiting for its own defense. You all see this world as dangerous, Sarek began, his deep voice calm but strong. And you are not wrong. Humans have made war upon themselves, upon each other, and even upon the stars. He paused and let the truth hang in the air. He did not deny their crimes. But, Sarek said, his voice rising slightly, you forget what else they are. You see the fire they wield, but you do not see what they do with it when the night is darkest. The chamber screens lit up again. This time, Sarek controlled them. The first image was not of war, but of a small human craft primitive by galactic standards touching down on the surface of its own moon. They were born on one world, Sarek said, yet in less than 300 years, they stood on another. No one showed them how. No one gave them the technology. They looked at the sky and said, we will go there. And they did. Murmurs ran through the delegates. Many species had taken thousands of years to leave their home worlds, even with help from others. The image changed again. This time, it showed a golden disk, the Voyager record sailing through space. Sarek's voice softened. They sent this into the void, not as a weapon, but as a greeting. They carved their music, their languages, their dreams into gold, and sent it where no one might ever find it. Do you call that the act of a mindless destroyer? The Silhouette delegate's feathers rustled uneasily, but it remained silent. Sarek's eyes swept across the chamber. Yes, they fight. But they fight for each other. When their world burns, they rebuild it. When their cities fall, they raise them again. When the stars seem too far, they build ships to chase them. The hologram now showed images of human rescue efforts, strangers pulling each other from floods, firefighters running into burning buildings, doctors working through plagues. Sarek turned, and for the first time, looked directly at the human ambassador. And when they meet another in need, even one not of their kind, they do not turn away. A ripple of confusion passed through the delegates. The council chair leaned forward. What do you mean, Elder? Sarek's face grew solemn. I mean this, I am alive because of them. The entire chamber went still. Sarek raised one hand, and a new image appeared on the screen, an ancient Violari starship, broken and burning, caught in the gravity well of a dying star. This was my ship, Sarek said. I was young then, a commander leading my crew on a survey mission. A solar flare struck us. Our engines failed. Our distress signal went unanswered by every civilized world in range. No one dared approach a dying star. He paused. No one, except them. The next image made several delegates lean forward. It showed a small human ship, barely a freighter, hooking itself to the Violari vessel with crude metal tethers. They had no reason to help us, Sarek continued. Our species had never spoken. They risked their own lives to pull us from that gravity well, knowing they might not escape. Sarek's voice grew softer, almost reverent. When I asked them why, they laughed. Do you know what they told me? Because someone had to. For a moment, no one spoke. The chamber seemed to breathe as one. Even the most hostile delegates shifted uncomfortably. You judge them by their wars, Sarek said, his voice growing stronger again, but you ignore their mercy. You call them dangerous because they build weapons, Yet those same hands reach out to save strangers. They are not perfect, no species is. But they are trying. And that, council, is what makes them different. They choose to be more than their instincts. The hologram faded. Only Sarek's voice remained. If you exile them now, you do not punish monsters, you crush a species standing at the edge of becoming something greater. The galaxy needs them. It needs their courage, their fire, their madness, even. Because there will come a day when darkness falls on all of us. And when that day comes, who else would dare to run into the fire? A deep silence followed. The council chair finally spoke. You have given your testimony, Elder Sarek. The vote will resume. One by one, the delegates prepared to raise their glowing sigils once more. The human ambassadors stood frozen. Their chest ached with a strange mix of fear and pride. Someone had spoken for them. Someone believed humanity was worth saving. The council chamber, which had seemed so hostile only moments ago, now felt different. Every eye was on the human representative, not as an enemy to be condemned, but as a question waiting to be answered. Would the galaxy choose to give them a second chance? The air grew tense. The first sigil was about to be raised when something unexpected happened. The delegate of the Talas, a cautious species known for neutrality, lowered their sigil entirely. I wish to change my vote, they said quietly. A ripple passed through the chamber. And then another delegate spoke. So do I. The human ambassador's breath caught. Something was changing. The first delegate's voice echoed through the chamber like a bell. I wish to change my vote. The council froze. It was unheard of for a representative to change their vote after a verdict had been called. Yet the Talas delegate stood firm, their translucent skin flickering with nervous light. I cannot vote for exile, they said softly. Not after hearing this testimony. I cannot condemn a species that rescues strangers from certain death. The council chair's eyes narrowed but said nothing. Tradition allowed it. Then, slowly, other voices joined in. I also wish to change my vote, said the Kreen delegate, their insectoid wings fluttering nervously. I have studied their art and their music. There is something defiant in them. Something that refuses to die. One by one, glowing sigils lowered across the chamber. It was no landslide. Many still kept their votes raised, their expressions grim, but there was no denying it now. The tide was shifting. The human ambassador's heart hammered. They had stood silent for most of the session, letting Elder Sarek speak for them, but now something inside them burned to be heard. They stepped forward. Council chair, may I speak? The chamber turned toward them. The chair hesitated, then nodded once. You may. The ambassador's voice was steady, but there was fire in it now. You call us violent, they said. You are right. We are. You call us reckless. We are that too. But do you think we don't know what we are? Every war we fought was written into our bones. Every disaster, every mistake, we carry them. And we try to be better. They turned slowly, addressing each section of the chamber. You think we will destroy the galaxy? Then teach us how not to. Give us a chance to learn. Don't just cast us out and call it justice. Their eyes locked with the chairs. We are not asking for mercy. We are asking for a chance to stand beside you, not beneath your judgment. For a long moment, the only sound was the distant hum of the chamber's power core. Then Elder Sarek spoke again, his voice quiet but carrying. This is why they must stay. They are dangerous, yes, but they are also brave enough to face their own nature. Tell me, which of your species has never known war? Which of you can say you never made mistakes in your first steps to the stars? The delegates glanced at each other, uneasy. Many of their own histories were not so peaceful. The Silhouette delegate, who had spoken so harshly earlier, finally rose. Their feathers shifted in a slow, rippling pattern that meant deep thought. We have feared humanity since the day they broke the speed barrier, they said. Feared that their hunger would consume them and us. They turned to the human ambassador. Perhaps fear alone is not enough to condemn a species. And with that, they lowered their sigil. The chamber rippled with shock. The Silhouette were one of the most influential voices in the council. Their change meant others could now follow without losing face. The vote was shifting again faster this time. But not all were convinced. The Auric representative slammed a massive fist onto the table. You are all fools, they roared. Do you not see what they will become? They will grow stronger. Their fleets will spread. Their weapons will reach farther. And when the day comes that they decide the council no longer serves them, what then? Will you still speak of mercy when your worlds burn? A murmur of fear ran through the hall. Some delegates hesitated, their sigils wavering in the air. The human ambassador felt the weight of that accusation pressing down on them. Slowly, they spoke again. You are right, they said. We will grow stronger. We will build bigger fleets, faster ships, better weapons. That is who we are. Gasps echoed through the hall. The Auric's expression twisted in triumph. But, the ambassador continued, their voice steady, we will also build better hospitals. Better farms. Better ways to feed the hungry and heal the sick. You fear our strength. But our strength is what lets us save those who cannot save themselves. Their hand curled into a fist over their chest. When your people are in danger, we will come. Even if it costs us everything. Because that is who we choose to be. The words hung in the air, defiant and raw. Elder Sarek smiled faintly. The council chair raised a hand. The votes will now be cast one final time. No further changes will be allowed after this moment. The chamber grew so quiet that every sound seemed too loud, the hum of the projectors, the faint clicks of claws on metal as delegates prepared to raise their sigils. One by one, the glowing symbols appeared in the air. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. No. The human ambassador's chest tightened with every light. The votes were close. Too close. Then it came to the last sigil, the one that would decide everything. The delegate held it in their clawed hand, hesitating. The entire chamber leaned forward. The fate of humanity rested on that single choice. The chamber felt like it had stopped breathing. Every eye was fixed on the final delegate, a tall, scaled being with crystal-like spines along their back. They held the glowing sigil in their clawed hand, frozen. The council chair's voice cut through the silence like a blade. Delegate of the Raxan, cast your vote. The delegate's eyes flickered between the human ambassador and Elder Sarek. Their spines shifted, glowing faintly as they struggled with the decision. You ask us to trust them, the Raxan said slowly. To trust a species that has already drenched its own world in blood. If we give them this seat, if we let them into the Accords, they will have access to trade routes, technology, even council defenses. They turned their gaze to the human ambassador. What will you do with that power? The ambassador stepped forward, every muscle tight, every word deliberate. We will use it to prove you were right to give us a chance, they said. And if we fail, if we ever become what you fear, then hold us accountable. But do not condemn us before we have even had the chance to try. The chamber was silent for 3 long heartbeats. Then the Raxan closed their claws around the sigil, and the glowing symbol appeared in the air. No. The human ambassador's chest loosened. Elder Sarek closed his eyes in relief. The final tally appeared above the chamber, a narrow majority. Humanity was spared. The council chair rose, towering over the assembly. The vote is complete, they said. By the authority of the Orion Accords, the species known as humanity will not be exiled. Instead, they will be offered a seat within this council. A wave of astonishment rippled through the delegates. The chair's gaze turned to the human ambassador. You will sit among us, but know this, Your seat is not a shield. If you betray this trust, if you bring war to the stars, there will be no second trial. Do you understand? The ambassador bowed their head. We understand. And we will honor this seat. A low murmur of approval spread through the hall. Some delegates still looked skeptical, even fearful, but others seemed almost curious now, as if seeing humanity for the first time. The hologram of Earth shone brighter, no longer as a defendant but as a member of the galactic family. Elder Sarek turned to the ambassador, his golden eyes warm. You have been given a rare gift, he said softly. Do not waste it. The ambassador nodded. We won't. For the first time in the entire session, a faint smile crossed their face. The council session ended. The delegates began to leave, their robes whispering across the polished floor. Some glanced back at the human ambassador, no longer with disdain, but with something closer to respect. The ambassador remained on the platform, staring up at the spinning hologram of Earth. For years, humanity had been alone, feared, and judged. Now, they had a place among the stars. But the weight of that responsibility pressed down on them. History will remember this day, Elder Sarek said, his voice quiet. Perhaps one day, it will remember it as the moment the galaxy changed. The ambassador looked at him. Do you really believe that? Sarek's eyes glimmered. I have seen what your people are capable of. You burn, yes. But you also light the way. The words settled deep inside the ambassador's chest. They thought of Earth, the oceans, the cities, the children playing in parks, the voices that would never know how close they had come to losing everything. We'll make sure this was worth it, the ambassador said. Outside the council chamber, the view of the galaxy stretched wide and endless. For the first time in human history, the stars no longer felt like a trial to survive. They felt like a future to build. The council chamber was empty now. Only the human ambassador remained, standing alone beneath the soft glow of the fading hologram. For a long moment, they simply breathed. The weight of it all settled in the accusations, the trial, the vote that had come within a single claw's width of condemning every man, woman, and child on Earth to isolation. And yet, humanity had been given something far rarer than survival. They had been given trust. The ambassador walked slowly toward the massive windows at the edge of the chamber. Beyond them stretched the galaxy, endless, dark, and beautiful. Somewhere out there, Earth turned quietly under its sun, unaware of how close it had come to losing the stars forever. A voice broke the silence. You stood well today, Elder Sarek said, stepping beside them. His golden eyes glowed softly in the reflected starlight. Few have faced this council with such honesty. The ambassador exhaled a short laugh. Honestly? I was terrified. That, Sarek said, is what made you worthy of this seat. They stood together, looking out at the stars. This is just the beginning, isn't it? The ambassador asked. Sarek nodded. Oh yes. Today you were given a seat at the table. But tomorrow, you must prove you deserve it every day, in every choice your people make. The ambassador nodded slowly. Then we'll start proving it. One decision at a time. Sarek's gaze softened. Remember this day, human. Remember it when you are tempted to burn too brightly. The ambassador smiled faintly, then turned toward the door. For humanity, the trial was over, but the real work was just beginning. Somewhere far below, on a small blue planet, billions of lives went on as if nothing had happened. They would never know how close they had come to being cut off from the galaxy, or that one alien voice had stood up to save them. But maybe that was how it should be. Because humanity's story wasn't just about one council chamber, one vote, or one ambassador. It was about what they would do with the second chance they had been given. And if there was one thing humans were good at, it was taking the smallest chance and turning it into something impossible. The ambassador stepped through the chamber doors and into the light of the new dawn that awaited humanity among the stars.